Hello, welcome to another Ask Sheila video. I'm Sheila.
And I'm Rebecca.
My daughter. And she and her husband are hanging out at our house for a couple days, so I thought we would do a couple of Ask Sheila questions in a row because I think these are more interesting when we talk.
I would like to think so.
Yeah. Okay, here's a good one. The woman writes, my husband and I have another couple we are really good friends with. The problem is that when we hang out with them, the wife often cuts her husband down. Okay, and it can be brutal or subtle, but she makes at least one or more comments to tear her husband down. I don't know if I should keep my mouth shut or point out how mean she is. The other thing is my husband is best friends with her husband, and I am not as close to her simply because of her crabby and mean attitude. Sounds like you reap what you sow. It just pains me to see her constantly hitting him with these barbs.
Yeah, that is hard.
Yeah. I'm amazed how many women do this. Like, have you ever been out with people who do this?
Yeah.
And I don't think they realize that they do it.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. First of all, John Gottman, Marriage Institute. Incredible guy.
Amazing.
Did all this research. Like, they watched couples, like they filmed couples interactions, and he's got to the point where he can predict, like with like 95% accuracy. I'm totally making
No, this is actually true. He can predict with 95% accuracy.
Is it 95%?
He talks to couples once for 1 hour, and then he can predict with 95% accuracy whether or not they will be divorced in 5 years.
Did you do this in psychology too?
Oh, so much.
Oh.
I did Gottman so much in psychology.
Oh, that's cool. Okay,
Everyone loves him.
So real guy. Anyway, one of the huge predictors of divorce that he has is contempt.
Yeah.
When you show contempt for someone, and contempt is things like if they say something, you roll your eyes,
You scoff, you make fun of them, but not tease, like ridicule.
Yeah, like not just like sarcastic jokes, but actually like ridiculing them. And it sounds like this is what this woman is doing. Is
Totally.
She's just making these barbs, and that's contempt. So if you're talking like this, let me just say, you're just saying, "Hi, I want a divorce." That is basically what you're doing.
Yeah, you're setting your marriage up for failure.
Yeah.
If you are doing that, it is pure poison to your relationship. There's no nice way to say it.
No, and I honestly don't think that we women realize that we do it a lot.
But there's a lot of a culture of that. There's this idea of kind of the wife having to deal with her.
Your
my dog drinking. You're my dog drinking water. Okay. No, but there's this culture of the idea of kind of like the bumbling idiot husband. And no one gets mad when the wife makes comments about how useless he is or about how he would starve without me. And
yeah, but if a husband were to say the same thing about the wife,
everyone would be like, back up. Are you abusing your wife?
Yeah, so women, we really need to watch this, okay? So that's me talking to us women. Like, just watch how you talk about your husband.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying things about him that are mean and you don't even, then you're just reinforcing a very, very, very negative dynamic in your marriage. And it's going to put your marriage really downhill. So for you, watch what you're saying. But now let's just answer this woman's question.
Yeah, so what do you do when you're in that situation?
You're out in public and someone's doing that. What would you do?
I mean, what I'd like to do is just call it out right then, right there.
Yeah, I think you have to, honestly.
I think there's another option, because there are some people who are just going to find that really difficult. I think for some people, obviously, it's really, really hard to be confrontational, and that can feel very, very uncomfortable, and you don't want to cause someone a lot of stress if you don't have to. But I think that if you see someone who is really bullying someone right in front of you. I mean, we teach 8-year-olds to stand up to bullies, right?
Yeah.
It's like in this case, they have a contractual obligation not to leave their bully.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think sometimes when people are really close, and they speak like that, they don't always realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
And we tend to speak the worst to the people that are closest to us. We
totally
do. And I remember when you and Katie used to go through this, like you each would phone me and complain about the other one. And what I would always say to you is, well, you need to call her on it right away.
Yeah.
Because if you save up all of these hurts and then bombard them with them at one point, they're going to deny ever saying it, first of all. And so you're going to get into this whole argument of, oh, I never said that, or oh, I never meant that, or and that's just a totally fruitless argument.
I think also, though, like what she was saying in this particular question is she says, like, her husband is best friends with the guy who's being bullied by his wife, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I just think that in some of these cases, it also might help if the husband actually talks to his friend about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you okay? Like, this isn't healthy. This isn't good. Are you feeling heard in your marriage? Like, do you feel competent? Do you feel cut down? And a lot of guys, and a lot of women will look at that and roll their eyes like, oh yeah, guys don't do that kind of talk. That's not true. Guys actually talk really about quite deep things quite frequently. Guys just don't like chit chat.
Yeah.
But if you tell your husband, like, okay, like, go grab some fishing poles, take him out, like, if that's what they like doing together, and honestly ask him point blank. Most guys are actually pretty good at talking about these kinds of issues. It's a stereotype that women have put on men that I don't necessarily think is true.
Yeah. But let's just, definitely get your husband to talk to the guy. But let's just analyze the situation a little bit more. She says she doesn't like this woman because this woman is crabby and mean. All right?
Yeah.
So this woman is crabby and mean, and she doesn't like her.
Yeah.
So what are the reasons for not speaking up at the time? I mean, do you really care what she thinks about you?
Well, if people want to be nice, they don't want to be rude.
But you already think she's crabby and mean.
And she needs to, maybe the problem that people have been nice to her whole life and not told her, hey, you're being a really horrible human being right now. Like, maybe if someone just wasn't nice to her and said, like, hey, you can't treat people like that, or else we're all going to just call you out on it and make it really uncomfortable for you, then maybe she wouldn't be quite so mean.
Yeah, and I don't think that you have to call her out and say mean, but let's just try some role playing for a minute, okay? So say something mean. Say something mean.
Well, maybe if you weren't such a lazy piece of garbage, you would have gotten that raise that everyone else got, but you didn't.
Okay, so let's say that you're in a situation and she were to say that to her husband, okay? Then you could say, wow, that was really harsh. Do you really think your husband didn't deserve a raise? Or do you really think that your husband is lazy? And just ask her if she really thinks whatever it is that she's saying.
Because a lot of times people say something as a automatic reflex that they've just trained their brain into going there, but they haven't actually really thought about it.
So you don't need to say, wow, you're mean. Just simply parrot her words back to her. So if she were to say something like,
something like, oh, I can't trust you with anything. Can you really not trust your husband with anything? Like, oh my gosh, you're so useless. Is your husband actually useless?
Just parrot her words back. That doesn't sound as mean. You're not saying, wow, you really are awful.
You're not grabbing the pitchforks or anything.
Yeah, but just parrot her words back. And the more you do that, the more you train yourself to do that, the more she will stop talking like that in your presence. And maybe even she'll become aware of some of the things that she's saying.
Because even if she stops doing it in your presence but is still doing it other places, at least now there seems to be some understanding that this isn't appropriate in some instances. So hopefully that will generalize to understand this isn't appropriate in other instances. But on top of that, maybe this husband would then feel more safe to come to you or your spouse and say, hey, this is actually really bothering me and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, ladies, I know that we all want to be nice, all right? I know that we're all raised to be nice, but being nice and being good are not the same thing. And sometimes you need to be good.
And sometimes being good means saying what needs to be said.
Remember, this is a crabby, mean person. You don't care what she thinks anyway. So just parrot her words back and see if that makes a difference. Because I think if we all started doing that in social interactions, instead of trying so hard to be nice, we might actually end up protecting a lot more relationships. So thank you for joining us for Ask Sheila. There's lots of good stuff coming up on the blog this week, so take a look at To Love, Honor, and Vacuum, and we'll be back here next week for another Ask Sheila.